Hello everybody. We have another game against Sadafino, rated 1332. We're gonna go with a caro-kann this time. See what they play. Okay, so they push past. We're gonna play c5 and take control over the center with the pawns. He plays c3 to get into the French structure. We're going to develop our bishop outside of our pawn chain so we can play e6 and solidify. Simply pin the knight just to put our bishop somewhere. And he'll most likely play d4, but instead he throws this check which hits the bishop. You have to notice that and retreat the bishop with tempo. He goes back, we go back because going back is lame, so I'm messing with him. Like, if you're just gonna go for this, don't go back. Okay, so now when he goes back, it's like we developed our bishop and get a free move. But now he switches up the move order. And we just block it with a knight, developing for free. Nice and easy. He lost his chance to do something else. Okay, now he plays this move. It makes sense. Now we simply play e6 and solidify. This is protecting this. And okay, he castles. We want to continue applying pressure to all of this complex. Well, we don't need to do that. Oh, might as well. Let's go queen b6. It applies pressure to these dark squares and the bishop and the b pawn behind it. And now we can develop our knight and bishop on the king side and see what we're working with. Notice that a6 is never a threat because if you ever take the bishop, your rook's hanging. Important. If we take this pawn and he takes back, that's not good. So let's just keep developing if possible. But now he's in a deep think. He doesn't know what to do. Okay, he develops his knight. Not sure where it's going, but it is developed. Let's develop our knight. And now we can throw it here, pressuring this pawn potentially. So he goes here, which defends the pawn and hits this pawn an additional time. I see no reason not to take this now because he can't put his knight here. So we're trading our flank pawn for his central pawn, opening up some squares for our pieces. Let's see what piece he puts here. I'm assuming pawn, but maybe a knight. He might take with the knight actually to improve it. Okay, but he takes with the pawn, but now this pawn is a weakness that needs to be protected by pieces the entire game. So let's start on that. Let's get this knight out of the way of this bishop and attack this pawn a third time. He jumps in, blocking vision, hitting our bishop, hitting this, a lot of stuff. The downside is I can take it. And then when he takes back, I can take that. Winning a pawn. And I'm not sure why he did any of that. So he was playing fine, but he just ruined his old position with that move. He could have just played more reasonable, developed pieces. You don't need to start an attack or enter your opponent's position. Like if you have moves that develop pieces. I'm not saying you can't. Sometimes it's definitely the best move and stuff to create threats, but you don't have to. Like you can always just develop. And developing isn't playing the same as playing passive, right? Developing actively is not playing passive. So he moves his rook towards the center, but now I am good and ready to finally castle and kick this bishop, and now this looks ridiculous. So he hits our queen, but that's just a bishop. He's going to take back, but who cares? Our knight here, I mean, it's no longer pressuring this pawn. It can be kicked in the future. We just take the bishop so we don't have to move our queen. And now we simply can attack the bishop. Now that my rook is protected, it is a threat. Okay, so he moves his rook here to try to add pressure, but the downside is that it's a blunder because I can take the bishop with the queen, not the pawn. So he loses an entire piece due to either miscalculation or more likely absolutely no calculation. It's important to look for your opponent's response, you know, but whatever. And now the position is completely winning. Success for the caro-kann. Not so much for this bishop, but so now he's attacking pawns and stuff. I'm gonna push the pawn, not so much to protect it, but literally to make room for my bishop. Like if I have to sack this pawn to free my bishop, I'm doing that every day of the week. Okay, of course, there's no pawn on d4, so theoretically, if your bishop's here, you can open this diagonal, but still. Okay, so he's trying to do stuff, but notice this isn't a threat because his rook is hanging, right? And now I'm just gonna open, I wanna open lines. So the best way to do that is with a pawn break. Like I could move my rook to the c file, but he has his pawn in the center. I can get rid of it. I can open the f file. So he takes this way. You could definitely take with the g pawn and create a super strong center. I'm just gonna take with the rook for no particular reason. It just activates it in a unique way. Again, the g pawn was perfectly fine. It would dominate the knight and create a strong center. I often would do that when I play like a King's Indian attack setup. So he moves his rook over, but this knight is defended by a pawn, so it's not a logical thing to do. And now I'm just gonna push. Well, yeah. Wait, oh, I see. He moves his rook to get out of the pin because he wants to take. I'll just take. I really don't care. He could take here. I also don't care. Because he can never take the bishop because I'm going to take here and threaten a queen. I don't care about these pawns. I care about piece activity and my central pawns. I don't see how he's going to avoid trades indefinitely. Okay, so he takes the pawn. But I mean, what to say about this position, right? I'm going to do this weird looking move. I mean, if you go here, you're going away from the center, which I don't like. I was going to go in here to put my bishop here, but I don't even think you need to do stuff like that. But what do I want to do? He takes this pawn, I take this, then my bishop is hanging. So just for one move, since my rooks are out of the way, this bishop is not discoordinating the rooks. And that's often why you move the bishop from its starting square. Oftentimes when the rooks are connected, you will put the bishops back on their starting square because they're still good, but not blocking the rooks. In this case, it's protecting both of my backwards or weak pawns, and my rooks still have full access to whatever they want to do. And all of this pressures on the c file is dumb because the pawn protects the knight. All of the pressure on the b file is dumb because the bishop protects the pawn and rooks are more important. So now he's going to try to push this pawn, but this is a losing battle. Like I said, my rooks are no longer obstructed. The bishop doesn't hamper them. And we can just play actively. with pawn pushes in the center, nice and slowly, and it's winning. You don't really want to allow his knight activities, so just keep an eye out for that. He creates space for his king, which makes a lot of sense. But now I'm going to push in the center and take away that square from his knight. And I even want to displace his knight, which is well placed, staring at the center. And if I move his knight, then my knight has more freedom to do what it wants. His rooks are stuck with this pawn. That's 10 points of material doing nothing. And we have a beautiful center. 2 pawns in the center. He has nothing. So now he moves his rook to attack this pawn, but we just push the pawn, which defends it and misplaces his knight. And just like if my knight goes to the side, he would be able to jump in the center. It works both ways. His knight moves, I can now jump in the center and improve my knight. That would open up the c file for him though, so we gotta watch out what we do. So he moves his knight here, which doesn't really have good prospects in the future. So I could jump my knight here and hit the rook. If the rook goes here, I mean, I could throw my other rook here. Alternatively, I could put my rook here and hit his knight, which doesn't have many squares. So let's go with that. Get our rook a little more active in his position. I don't care about his pawn. And it just looks very weird because what do you do with the knight? I mean, it's a bit awkward because it takes away that square from the knight, but that's fine. The knight has other squares. But more importantly, what do you do with the knight? Okay, and if you go back to defend it, well, now my rook has good improving moves. So like this, without calculating, hits the pawn and frees the square for the knight. You should always calculate, but I have 5 minutes and I don't feel like it. So a4 gets the pawn out of the attack, but it wastes an entire turn, so that's not worth a turn. So how do we improve our pieces further? Okay, I'm gonna make a simple move. Oops, that looks weird, but it actually just defends this way. So now my bishop is free in case I want to sack it or something, or just, I don't know, improve it. But it's still kind of nice here. So he moves his knight out of the way. Okay. Still want to improve my pieces and stuff though. Okay, let's get my I want to get my knight towards the center. He's gonna jump in here, and I can just move my rook wherever, who cares. So let's go here and get this happening. Now I'm gonna sack my bishop, maybe. He gets a bishop, I go check. He goes here. Okay, well now he's hitting my rook, so let me just move my rook first. Let's, I guess, let's attack the knight, makes the most sense. Because his knight's not even threatening this pawn, so it has to move, and where does it go again? I feel like he's just moving his knight in circles. And again, if I sack this, takes, check, king over, check, takes, check, down, And then I can't bring my other rook in with check. So he goes here to defend the knight. This looks terrible though. Okay. I get a knight. He gets a rook. But then my bishop's hanging. If I go here now, he has to take. And then I take, and then he has no threat. So let's just liquidate. I'm up 4 points of material, and his rooks are basically stuck. This pawn is defended by my rook, and this pawn is defended by everything. So now his rooks are just staring at like a wall, and he has no knight or bishops to complicate things. So now this is a much easier win. This obviously doesn't do anything because I can take it at any time. Okay, let's push. Center, center. Queen, queen. Queen, queen, Salabeam. What are you gonna do, guy? This comes with check. It's a very serious threat. You gonna push past? And you give me 2 connected passers. Okay, he takes it. That's fair. But then we could just take that. And now we're up a bishop. And we liquidated further. Okay, so now what? Now we push our last pawn. Just get rid of this. I'm just trying to win up a bishop. Like, who cares? I take, he pushes, I take, he pins me, I protect. I mean, he has to take, right? I'm not actually trying to queen this pawn, I'm trying to get rid of it. Okay, so now he hits my bishop, but I just block all counterplay by leaving my rook on the back rank. He never has any threats, and I could just walk my king in. And well, now that my king's here, he doesn't even have like back rank stuff. Oh, I can't move it. Okay, let's walk our king up, see what he does. He goes there. Throw him a check, see what he does. Offer him chances to make mistakes, right? Oh, I guess I should have walked my king to the other side. Either way. Alright, let's just cut his king off real quickly and walk the other way with our king. I guess we could walk it up as well. This guy's gonna run out of time. So, a funny idea. Does it work though? Because even if you get your king here, you can never rearrange your rook properly. Yeah, so let's just keep going forward. Check. And then we attack the pawn. He's going to give us some checks. We go here. He's going to attack our bishop. We're going to protect it. He's going to give us a check. We're going to go here. And now what, sir? Some more random checks. No, he defends it. Nice. But his clock will run out. Got it. Let's see. He's going to flag. How should we do this? Let's give him this check as a troll. And then let's go here as a troll. Now let's go here. Okay. So what do we have here? We have caro-kann, so center. And this is just an alternative option. It's a weird way of controlling the center so that now when he plays the pawn, you can take it, and he didn't have time to solidify with c3. So that's why he does c3 first, because he wants to recapture with the pawn. But we just develop a piece which affects the center. He gives us this check. We have forced move. Here you can develop, but I just repeat once to see what he does. Force move. And now here, develop towards the center. Center and development. Development and center. Development and center. And now our pawn's hanging. So forced. Improving a piece, because you have to develop your bishop, so it's essentially not even improving, it's development, forced. And then this is just a blunder, so free stuff. King safety. Liquidation. Getting his stuff off of our half of the board now that our king is safe and we're developed. Another blunder, we take free stuff. This is more liquidation, development. And then it doesn't matter, you can kind of do whatever you want here. You can just move your rook to the open file. You can move your knight. You can move your rook. You can probably take the pawn. So whatever, I just went f6. You could take with the pawn, but I took with the rook just for variety. And we just take this pawn since it's hanging. So force move. And then here you could probably handle this a number of ways. What is the computer like? Best move, bishop c8. Oh no, this is it. This is it, Kramnik, bishop c8, best move, and I played it. Or was it bishop f8? No, it was bishop c8. It was bishop c8. Oh no, don't tell Kramnik about this. So I played the best move, bishop c8. -5, by the way. And then we just stay active. Restrict this knight. That's the whole idea of the pawn push, is restricting this knight, gaining access to the center for my pieces, and just invading, slow improving, slow improving. Keep making threats. Keep making threats, forcing liquidation. Keep making threats, forcing liquidation, even at the cost of a pawn, right? And then pushing creates threats, forcing liquidation. Now we're just up a bishop. And then this, now he literally has no counterplay. He has nothing to do. It's -3.8 with best play from white, 3.9, -4. So he has nothing to do. You can leave this construction here forever because it's self-sufficient, and you can just move your king wherever you want on the entirety of the board. So now it's here, but I can literally walk it wherever I want. I mean, he can give me checks, but not indefinitely. And so now you only have a pawn. And he blunders, but ideally you would want to keep this pawn so you can queen it in the future. So you have to make sure that a6, I mean, you don't really have to do anything because it's always hit twice, but yeah, basically he's never going to be able to trade the a6 because it's always defended by the bishop. So he just can never get this pawn off the board without sacking the rook, which of course loses. So he's just in dire straits. Okay, so that's another game. We take him down, we keep climbing. Good luck in your chess.